Morning, YouTube. Well, if you grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even into the 90s, hell, even into this century, you probably have seen and heard of the guy who was born in this house on March 11th, 1903. We're talking Lawrence Welk. So let's go check out where he grew up and learn a little bit about his family, shall we? So the house is made of Batska bricks. It's B-A-T-S-A. As you can see, it's straw, manure, mud, and water, and formed up into these bricks, stacked up, made for a nice thick wall. They could plaster it like they did here, or an inside, or as things got more prosperous, they could always put siding on. And Lawrence's father was a talented carpenter, and this is an original door. So pretty nice job. This goes right into the kitchen. Not a very big kitchen. Breakfast would be eaten in here. Dinners would be eaten in the family room. But this would be their cupboard. They had a wood stove similar to this. And, you know, we've seen these before with the water reservoir. The younger kids had to keep that full so they'd have hot water. And, you know, doing their laundry, boiling the clothes and scrubbing them. And then down here is a cellar. Let's see if I can open it. I can't really see much, but it's made out of the same brick, same material as the rest of the house. And it goes down quite deep and completely under the family room next door. So there's it's quite a big cellar, so they would have a lot of room for storing of root crops and whatnot. Here's the family room, and his mom played the organ. His father played another instrument. I think one of the brothers played a clarinet. And Lawrence saw an accordion in a catalog, and he asked his father if they could buy it for him. It cost $400, and we're talking back then, $400 was a lot of money, and they were not rich. But he made a deal with him that he would work for free until he was 21. And any money he made at fairs and carnivals and such, he would give to them. So he kept his promise, but on his 21st birthday, he left and taking his accordion with him. And right off of the family room is the bedroom. You know, so beds like this fold up during the day, it becomes a piece of furniture, a little more room. They did play music. They did have an Edison phonograph. If it got too loud, they just stuff a sock in there. This was his parents' room. This bed was actually upstairs. This was Lawrence's bed when he was a child, and a lot of the Russian Germans had wardrobes like this, but here they stuck a nail in the wall and hung the clothes on that and then put a sheet over it to keep them hidden, clean. Okay, so they 3 rooms in the house, but it's a 2-story house. Well, they didn't believe in taking up valuable living space with stairs, so the stairs to the upstairs were outside. The boys slept upstairs, where it'd be either really hot or really cold. And part of the first room in was where they would hang their meat to cure. And so the boys would have to go through the curing meat to get to their bedroom. So imagine coming outside in a North Dakota blizzard, hailstorms, rain, time to go to bed. You got to go outside, go upstairs to go to bed. As I said, his father was a talented carpenter, so he made some money with that. He was also a farmer, and but he was also a blacksmith. So with those three things, he was able to support the family. And he's got a little blacksmith shop out here. Not as big as some of the ones we've seen, but doesn't have to be big to do a lot of good work. You know, had a little forge. One of the cool tools that they showed me here was this. And I look at it going, what is that for? Well, that would go into a hand bit like this and used to sharpen or turn the ends of the spokes down so they would fit up into the pieces of the wheel. I've never actually seen one of those before. So when they first came out here, they stopped in Eureka, South Dakota, and there they bought a wagon, supplies, and a team of oxen. And this is a yoke for the oxen. Because it's so rocky here, if they split a hoof, they were pretty much done for. So these were the kind of shoes they put on oxen. Notice how it's split in the middle, and one for each of the toes, or the cloven hooves. But to shoe an oxen, they basically have to put it in suspension and tied down like the legs are tied, so it's not going to thrash around. Then you just work on one foot at a time. So basically, you're torturing the animal to get the shoes on, but it's also protecting their hooves. Now, if you're going to pick a spot in southern North Dakota, we're not that far from the border with South Dakota. It was the Dakota Territories, obviously. At that point, when they moved here, it wasn't a state. They didn't split into two yet. But if you're going to pick a spot, this is a beautiful spot. It's, you know, right next to the lake, so you got good water. Their family was Germans that had settled in Russia, and the Russian steppes where they came from were flat and dry, pretty much like here. They knew how to dry farm. They knew this kind of climate, so this was a good area for them to settle in. So why would they have immigrated here? Well, in the mid-1700s, Catherine the Great, who was, she married the Tsar of Russia. She was Sophie, Princess Sophie in Germany, and after the 7 Years' War, Germany was pretty much decimated. And when she got to became the Tsarina of Russia, she realized that the people were, the Germans were way more advanced and than they were, and so she asked the German people if they would like to come and immigrate into the steppes of Russia. She promised that they wouldn't have to serve in the army. She would not tax them. She kept her word. Her son kept her word. Her grandson kept her word. Well, the great-grandson said, no, you're in the army, I'm taxing you. And so they were looking to get out. And this is mid 1800s and on, and so they moved here. Well, back in the day, they said you get the stairs to go up to the second floor outside, and the other thing that's out is the privy. So if you had to go out there. Didn't matter what the weather was. The building over here, that's the summer kitchen. You didn't want to heat the house up, cook it in there. You could do it out there. And in later years, they would use a kerosene stove. They've got one in there, and so pretty nice setup. The trees were not here. This was all open when so they didn't have, these trees have been planted later for a wind block. And this is Lawrence at 21 with that $400 accordion. And he only had a 4th grade education, could barely speak English, if he spoke maybe a little bit. And he worked to the point where he got to, as we all know, I think he's still on the air, even though he passed away years ago, is the Lawrence Welk Show. And along the way, he had, he named his band, let's see, it was Lawrence Welk and his Hotsy Totsy Boys, Welk's Novelty Orchestra, or my favorite, Lawrence Welk and his Honolulu Fruit Orchestra. So the boys in the band were not crazy about any of those names for the band. Well, I think that's going to end my visit here to Lawrence Welk's birthplace. Nice little place. I mean, if I had to pick out a place next to a lake on a little bit of a rise, this would be a nice place to stay. So I am going to get back on the road and see what other kind of interesting places I can find. See you later, YouTube.